sailing into Fécamp is not really as straightforward as it appears to be on the chart. Fécamp certainly is not an all-weather, any tide, any time, night or day place. It looks like it. It certainly hasn't got lock gates, and it doesn't actually dry out. It's attractive to people from Brighton or Eastbourne or New Haven because it's from Brighton it's about 65 miles, from Eastbourne and New Haven it's just over 60 miles. So it's clearly a passage that you can do in a 12-hour period and go in there. But if there is any onshore wind much over force 5, that entrance is a nightmare. There are, for a start, very strong tidal streams running across. It's situated on a sort of promontory. I mean, if you look at the chart, it looks flat, but actually, Fécamp Harbour is on a bit of cliff. It's beside a bit of cliff, which is jutting out into the sea, and the currents running across that entrance are formidable. You know, I mean, you can get 4 or 5 knots of current on a spring tide rushing across that entrance. I came out of there a few weeks ago after some gales, and poor old Golden Haze was standing up like that. I mean, we were going into waves and slamming. I would swear that most of the keel was out of the water sometimes. It was very rough indeed. So if you're coming across there from England, from the south coast, it is dodgy. It is dodgy. It is, you should not really attempt it at low water springs, because as you can see here from the depths, you've got 1.4 meters, 1.5 meters, 1 meter even off the entrance. They say that they try to dredge the channel to 1.5 meters, and frankly, I think it's much like the problems that are at Eastbourne and Brighton. It just doesn't get dredged to that, or if it does get dredged to that, it silts up again. So you can't get in there at low water springs. Around low water neaps, well, yes, probably, assuming your boat draws around 1 meter 50, like mine, maybe 2 meters, probably okay, but you need a little bit of tide. Fécamp, port control, Golden Haze. You can't get in there if there is an onshore wind of force 5 or above. And going in between those two piers sticking out, which are not that, it is not that wide an entrance, the tidal stream running across there is quite significant. So that's the thing about getting there from the south coast of England. If you, which is more likely, are coming from either Dieppe or Le Havre, it's a much better proposition. Clearly, if, say, you're coming from Dieppe, you need to get the tide, and you need to wait until somewhere around high water, Dieppe, that sort of time, and as the tide is ebbing down the English Channel, any time on that 6-hour tide, you can do the 30-mile passage round to Fécamp. Absolutely fine. The same is true in Le Havre. If you're coming out of Le Havre and going up to Fécamp, again, you need to follow the tide. You need to look at the tidal atlas, pick your tidal moment, and take the tidal stream round there. Cap d'Antifer, coming out of Le Havre, between Le Havre and Fécamp, out of interest, is a major oil refinery. It sticks out. This enormous sort of wall thing has been built out into the sea for tankers, I guess, to load and unload against. It gets quite rough off there. quite a severe chop and quite a lot of current. In fact, that whole coast has got a lot of current. So any passage that you're making, the first thing to do is to get hold of your tidal atlas and make sure the tide is going in the same direction as you. And because these are relatively short passages, from Dieppe to Fécamp, as I say, is 30 miles, from Fécamp to Le Havre is 30 miles, and clearly in any on any summer's day, or any spring or autumn summer's day, you're going to be able to get round there. So you just sit and wait for the tide to turn in your favour, and then you do the passage easily. Coming out of Dieppe to head for Fécamp, you need to be a little careful that there are 3 yellow buoys marked on the chart, which are buoys of isolated interest. When I was there a few weeks ago, there were only 2, but let's say there are 3. There's actually a nuclear power station, I'm pretty sure it's a nuclear power station, just inside, and these buoys mark the limits, a bit like a firing range, that you're allowed to go close to the station. I didn't realise that, and I sailed, I was keeping inshore because I wanted to see what the scenery was like, and I got a radio message on 16 telling me in no uncertain terms to clear the area and obey the rules, which I instantly did. One of the problems of AIS, of course, is that shore stations can identify you and call you by name and your MRI number, and you're copped. So anyway, just between coming out of Dieppe, on your way to Fécamp, there is this nuclear power station. The coast along there is really pretty. I mean, it's pretty deep. You can stay fairly close inshore. There are really pretty villages set into sort of clefts of the cliff, and it's absolutely they're absolutely charming. I think you wouldn't find them by road. So that part of the journey is lovely. So you come out of Dieppe, hang a left, pull the sails up, and sail down there, just going outside the nuclear power station, and then you go around the headland, and a few hours later, 6 hours later, 7 hours later, you're off Fécamp, and hopefully you're off Fécamp with a bit of tide, and it's not a spring tide, so your keel isn't scraping the bottom. As I say, entering between the piles, entering between the 2 breakwaters, the harbour entrance, a lot of tide. I actually ended up putting on a bit of full throttle to keep myself lined up in the middle. Once you've got in a way, then sure, it's fine. You get down the bottom of the harbour entrance, and to the right the whole marina opens up, and the middle pontoons on the Fécamp chart are the visitors' berths. I called Fécamp Marina on VHF 9, and that's what you're supposed to do, and got absolutely no reply whatsoever. They were at lunch. The marina office closes from 12 till 2, closes at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I suspect opens around 9 in the morning or something. Anyway, you just go to the visitor's pontoon, grab an empty berth, tie up, and then go into the town. Go into the marina office and then go into the town. The Wi-Fi there is so appalling, it doesn't exist. I never got a signal. I wasn't trying to get on Netflix, I was just trying to download some email. Absolutely not going to happen. It is non-existent. I really do not understand how ports, marinas can say, we have Wi-Fi, and the reality is, as the very nice lady said to me, bring your computer up, sir, and monsieur, and sit in the office, sit in reception of the office, and you can get on the internet. I mean, come on. It's 2020. I'm not going to walk up the pontoon and sit in the office. not going to do it. I expect the Wi-Fi to work, and I think it's very disappointing that it doesn't. Fécamp, Fécamp town is right alongside the Port de Plaisance, the Marina area, and things. So it's no distance. I mean, come up the visitors' pontoon, hang a left, and go across the road, and there you are coming into the town. All the way around the port there are seafood restaurants and very nice fresh seafood. There is I think it's a Carrefour City, one of those little city supermarkets like Tesco City or whatever. There's one of those in the road, so you can do your shopping for the boat, get your stuff, and it's a nice enough little town. It is dominated by the Benedictine monastery, which, as you look from the town across the marina, there it is up on the top of the hillside. It's Fécamp's biggest claim to fame, I think, other than the fact that people have been fighting over it for hundreds of years, us included. It's not quite what it appears to be. Benedictine monks never ever lived in that chateau, never lived in that distillery. There was a French guy called Alexandre Legrand, who in the 19th century decided he was going to open a distillery and rediscovered the recipe for Benedictine that the Benedictine monks had used hundreds of years ago. Make of that what you may. He was a pretty shrewd businessman, and he realized that a liqueur which had been, the recipe of which had been discovered and organized and finalized by Benedictine monks would be much more attractive in marketing terms than just, hey, we make Benedictine. So he built this chateau. He created this whole story of this wonderful recipe that he had discovered, and into the chateau. And just like Porto, if you ever go to Porto, all the sherries there, all the distilleries there run guided tours, and Fécamp distillery, Benedictine distillery, runs guided tours where for various sums of money, and I think it's from sort of the absolute minimum is 15 euros. I think you can pay 30 euros for some tickets. They will take you around the chateau, show you all the luxury stuff of the chateau, and take you around the distillery, and at the very end of it you will get a very, very small taste of Benedictine and a lot of encouragement to buy a bottle. Fair enough. It's 19th century marketing, and it's surviving very well in the 21st century. So yeah, good luck to him. But it is not quite what it appears to be. One should be aware of that. You shouldn't miss Fécamp. You should go to Fécamp. It's very attractive, and if you're going down that coast, it's a nice place to stop. And as I say, if you're on your way to the French canals and you intend going up the River Seine and you've come across to Dieppe, which is an all-weather port, if you've come across to Dieppe, you've come out of Dieppe, follow the tide, round to Fécamp, spend a day or a couple of days. I in fact spent a week there because of gales in Fécamp. Very inexpensive, not an expensive marina at all. I think they were charging me 20 euros a night for my 10-meter boat. Spent a few days in Fécamp, and then take off round to Havre, where you're going to prepare yourself to go into the French canals. So that's Fécamp. It is not to be missed if you're in the neighbourhood. Definitely not to be missed if you're in the neighbourhood. I hope that's been a bit helpful. If you've enjoyed it, if you've liked it, if it's helpful to you, then please press the subscribe button, the little button on the corner of the screen, because that means you'll get notified when I release another video, and it helps me to grow my channel, for which I would be most grateful. After this, there's a plug for my books like French Canal Routes to the Mediterranean, which you certainly should have a copy of if you're heading that way, and The Gentle Sailing Route to the Mediterranean, which takes you from Cherbourg all the way down the French Brittany coast, all along the French coast, then into the Rias of Spain and down the Portuguese coast into the Mediterranean, and you never have to spend a night at sea on this route, never, except once, which is between La Rochelle and Spain, where it's probably better to do it as an overnight, but that's the only time. The rest of it, any couple with just a tiny bit of experience can do this route and have a lovely, lovely summer doing it. So that's the end of me plugging my books. If you have been watching this, and I'm most grateful. Thank you. Bye.